In a valley carved by fear and pride, two nations stood waiting. The Philistines on one hill, the Israelites on the other. Between them, a silence as heavy as stone. Then came the sound of footsteps, slow and thunderous. Goliath of Gath, a giant clad in bronze, a mountain of flesh and armor. His spear was like a weaver's beam, his voice like thunder rolling through the valley. "Send a man to fight me," he roared, but no man moved. For 40 days he mocked them, and each morning the sun rose on a battlefield too afraid to fight. Fear had paralyzed an entire army. The taunts echoed day after day, chipping away at their hope, making the giant seem even larger, and their own courage even smaller. And then came David, a boy too young to wear armor, too small to be noticed. He wasn't even a soldier. He came only to bring bread to his brothers on the front lines. But when he heard the giant's voice echoing through the hills, something stirred within him. He saw what no one else could. That fear had already won the battle before it had even begun. And someone had to stand against it. His older brother laughed at him, questioning his motives. The king, Saul, doubted him, seeing only a shepherd boy, not a champion. But David's eyes were calm. He didn't see the giant. He saw the opportunity for God to show his strength. "The same God who saved me from the lion and the bear," he said with unwavering confidence, "will save me from this giant too." His past victories weren't just stories. They were proof. Proof that his faith was not in himself, but in something far greater. So, refusing the king's heavy, ill-fitting armor, David walked toward the valley floor. He had no sword, no shield, no helmet. All he carried was his shepherd's staff, a simple sling, and 5 smooth stones he had chosen from a stream. To the world, he was utterly defenseless. But in his heart, he was more armed than anyone on that field. Goliath roared with laughter when he saw the boy approach. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" He bellowed, his voice filled with contempt. He saw an insult, not a challenger. But David didn't flinch. He didn't trade insults or engage in the giant's game of intimidation. Instead, he declared the source of his strength. "You come to me with a sword and a spear, but I come in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." The two armies fell silent, watching this impossible scene unfold. The wind stilled. The moment stretched, as thin as time itself. Then David ran forward, not away from the giant, but toward him. He placed a stone in his sling and began to spin it, faster and faster. One motion, one prayer, one stone. And in the space between a heartbeat and a breath, the world changed. The stone flew from the sling, a blur of motion, and struck the giant squarely on his forehead. Goliath's laughter turned to shock, then to silence. He staggered, his massive frame swaying for a moment before crashing face down onto the earth. The ground trembled. The impossible had just happened. A gasp rippled through the valley, followed by a roar. The Israelite army, moments before paralyzed by fear, surged with newfound courage. They chased the fleeing Philistines, but David stood still for a moment, breathing softly, his eyes lifted to the sky. He knew this victory was never his alone. That day, the world learned a timeless lesson. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's standing up despite it. David's victory wasn't about the power of a stone or the strength of his arm. It was about faith, the quiet, unshakable belief that no giant is greater than the God who stands beside you. We all face giants in our lives. They might be fear, doubt, anxiety, or the feeling of being overwhelmed. They stand in our valley, mocking our dreams and paralyzing our progress. But sometimes all it takes is one small act of courage, one step of faith, to bring them down. So when the world tells you that you're too small, too weak, or too late, remember David. Remember the boy who looked at a giant and proved that with faith, nothing is impossible. Thanks for watching. If this story inspired you, please like and subscribe for more content that fuels your faith and courage. See you next time.